Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 18 of Everything But the Podcast. I know Holly was originally going to be episode 17, but then whenever I pushed you back last weekend and then had a last-minute interview, I think later in the week that I set up for last night, so now you're episode 18.
That's all right.
Twisted Joker is not with us today. He is at work. He wasn't with me last night either, so I've done 2 back-to-back episodes without Twisted Joker, but I think until earlier this year, every episode I did was by myself anyway, so it's not really anything new to me. So I hope you're having a great day so far.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good day. We celebrated my son's 18th birthday today, so a little early, but
that must have been crazy. The big number 18.
Yeah, well, he's my baby boy, and he turns 18 this week. So
nice.
With his work schedule, we just did it today.
Hey Muse, thanks for joining. I don't even think I told Muse I was going live today. She just showed up. I might have forgot to tell her. Paranormal wise, I want to know. This is going to be your first question, your first official question. I mean, mostly we're just going to shoot the breeze, but there are going to be some questions thrown in. But I want to know when you had your first paranormal experience.
My very first that I remember, I was 10 years old. My sister and my parents' best friends had a son. We used to always hang out together, and they were mom and dad, and the parents were upstairs playing cards. We were in our basement playing, and we were just in the back by the laundry room. Now, our laundry room had just a curtain that split in the middle.
Right.
And all 3 of us saw this white figure walk by. It looked like, I called him Abe Lincoln because he had a top hat on. And I remember trying to do ghost traps or booby traps, try to catch him.
Oh, jeez.
Well, we were 10.
Yeah.
We wanted to be the Ghostbusters.
That's funny.
But yeah, that was my very first experience. So,
is that what drew you? So you got drawn in at an early age?
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with it. And then as I got older, I got more and more interested in history, and they kind of go hand in hand there in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I know a lot of paranormal investigators, or even the shows that I watch. I'm more drawn into like the history of the area in the shows than I am to like the actual investigations a lot of times. I'm a big lore guy. That might come with gaming and stuff too, that I always like to hear like the history and stuff like that. But it's always been pretty cool. I've kind of the opposite, where I never wanted to investigate due to some personal experiences I had. I just chose to stay away because I had a person that I wasn't really like a friend with, but he was an acquaintance in my high school that was in like my high school class. I worked on a couple of projects, and I kind of considered him a friend at high school, but he committed suicide. So whenever I was a teenager, like, I don't know, a month or so after his suicide, my mom had moved my room from upstairs because she had 2 kids at this point. So I got moved down into the basement, and my bed was like right under the stairs. And I remember having a nightmare that at the time I thought was completely real, but it was literally this guy that had committed suicide just running around in circles on the outside of my bed, like really fast. And then he lunged at me, and his eyes were like red. Like, it was one of the scariest experiences I'd ever had. And I was a teenager at this point, living in the basement of my mom's house. So it didn't exactly feel safe. So yeah, that kind of happened. That woke me up, and that, like, for a while. And then eventually I think I got my own room down there as well, right next to the laundry room, where I could close the door and stuff. But I had experiences there too of sleep paralysis and like the waking up and feeling like you can't move and like something is in the room. And I wasn't really, like, as far as I know, I wasn't investigating. I wasn't doing anything like that. It was just something I dealt with. And I was just like, yeah, I just got to where I was like, I don't want to ever open these doors or make them any worse. So I'm just going to stay away from it. I'll stick to watching stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sleep paralysis was pretty creepy. And actually, I don't think I've ever told that story. So there you go. You got the first for this episode.
I had that happen one time. That is really scary.
Yeah, I mean, the nightmares are scary enough when something lunges itself at you, but then the waking up from the nightmare and not being able to move was pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
And as I got older, that stuff, I didn't experience that anymore. So it was a little bit better. But yeah, I choose not to bring that. That's like when I got that Loot Crate horror thing and I had that satanic statue, and I was like, I'm doing a giveaway. I don't want this in my house. I'm getting rid of this freaking thing.
Yeah, well, I kind of don't blame you there.
No, I saw one of your, I don't know how recent it was. My wife and I were watching it earlier where you visited Maggie's Bridge. I think it was one of your most recent videos.
Yes.
And I thought that was funny because I couldn't remember if it was on Paranormal Caught on Camera or a show like that where I saw like a bunch of teenagers went to Maggie's Bridge and did the same experiment.
Well,
So
I've been there 3 times.
Have you had the same kind of experiences each time, or have they changed?
They're very similar. You hear a lot of noises. The first time we went, we were early on learning how to do all this stuff, so I was really jumpy. We really didn't see a whole lot. Just like I said, just some noises in the woods, which very well could have been animals.
Right.
The second time, I did a whole thing on it because I found a connection that is possible between Patty Cannon. She's a local. She used to sell slaves and stuff, and they call her a serial killer. She killed a lot of her slaves, and now she would go up and down that road to the ferry that's right up the street and take her slaves because she was related to those people.
Oh.
And they would ship them out. So I was like, Now, I'm not saying Maggie's not true, but maybe what spooked Maggie's horse was one of her slaves.
He was
in the early 1800s. Maggie was later, late 1800s, early 1900s. So maybe
that's the kind of stuff that's the kind of stuff I like about what you do too, is discovering the other things that you're like, this could be a connection too. There could be multiple or even multiple things going on at one location. That's not, it's not like that's unknown.
It's not always one thing.
Evil Witch in the chat says she loves your hair.
Thank you. I got tired of the blonde.
And I do see you as well, Cotton Candy. Thanks for joining. I saw you were live earlier today, but I was busy trying to do my own recording of Resident Evil 3, and I don't know, it got butchered somehow. It's still on my channel, but the video has a lot of skip frame rates. I'm working on how to fix that. I had this problem last night because I had 2 people on the show last night. I could not keep up with reading the chat and still trying to interview them at the same time.
That's what, when I used to do lives, I would open up it on my phone and follow along with the chat that way.
I don't have that option tonight. My phone was at like 12% whenever I got ready to start.
Well, mine just started going off. Leslie started texting me.
I told her I was doing yours tonight.
I just shut my phone off. I'll talk with her later.
She might forget and then see that I'm live, and then she might stop by in the chat. I got her as one of the mods.
Yeah.
So in addition to Maggie's Bridge, I'm sure you've done a lot of investigations. What would you say has been one of the darkest areas that you've gone to?
Darkest areas.
These are off the top of my head, by the way. I did not write these down.
The darkest. I'm trying to think back. One of the darkest. Now we went there once so far. Well, actually twice. The second video hasn't come out yet. I call it the Victorian potty house because there's a bunch of broken toilets everywhere.
Oh, that must be interesting.
Yeah. That place really creeped me out the first time. Can't forget the Pocomoke Forest.
Right.
I'm gonna have to say the Pocomoke Forest. That cemetery there has been the creepiest, darkest place. It felt like something was trying to attach itself to Eric.
Oh yeah, that's not fun. Anytime you feel like there's an attachment, that's gonna kind of up the level of dark for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like a forest would be kind of creepy in general as well.
Well, it's right in the middle of the Pocomoke Forest, which is supposed to be the most haunted forest in Maryland.
Right.
Had some pretty freaky experiences. Of course, the last time it wasn't paranormal so much that I could tell. I know we found some weird person in the woods.
That's creepy.
Yeah, that's creepy. Not paranormal.
Not paranormal, but definitely like backwoods serial killer horror movie.
Yeah, you heard helicopters riding around, like circling us. You couldn't see any spotlights though, which was weird. And I don't know, maybe they're using infrared or something. I mean, creepy person, helicopters, and all of a sudden a whole bunch of cars going up a back road that nobody really uses.
Yeah, that sounds like government experiment gone wrong, or like alien abduction, and they're looking for the person. Like it straight up sounds like it's in that category of stuff.
Regardless, it was a scary night.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it for sure.
Yeah.
And what would you say would be your best piece of evidence that you've received?
The best piece of evidence? I really don't know.
Well, to give you time to think about it, if anybody in the chat has any questions, leave them in there and I'll ask them for you. That's the benefit of doing a live too, because the chat can ask questions and talk to us too.
I don't know. I've had one thing happen to me, and I consider it evidence in a way. I got scratched on my neck at Sachs Bridge in Gettysburg.
Okay, I'm in Pennsylvania, so Gettysburg I think is like an hour and a half to 2 hours away, so it's not that far from me.
It's about 2 hours from where we are, but he has family lives a half an hour away from them. So, but yeah, I felt a pinch. And here it is, middle of December. It's like 25 degrees outside, so
it's real cold in Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania, and I still hate the cold. And I'm like, but I live here.
Mm-hmm. This was actually Christmas night, so it was like 20 couple degrees.
Yeah,
and I felt a pinch. And then Eric looked, and there was like a mark, like a rope or something. It was a whole line.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
that almost goes into the dark too, though, because you actually got scratched. So that is actually kind of dark.
Yeah. That was scary too. Yeah,
I feel like every experience you've had is scary.
No, actually, it's not.
What are some of the less scary experiences you've had? There we go. We'll segue into that.
Well, less scary would have to be earlier on when things weren't really. I guess we were still learning different things. I mean, it was scary then, but then you're looking at it, it's like, it's not scary compared to this now, but I'd say my daytime investigations weren't very scary.
That always seems like a weird thing to me too, because I would always think with paranormal stuff that it wouldn't matter what time of day it is. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Right. But it does seem like a lot of people choose to do it at nighttime. And I'm like, why do you never want to just do it in daytime where it seems at least a little less scary to do it?
It just, I don't know. Things happen. I still get responses on the Spirit Box or the Necrophonics app and all that, but it's just, I don't know, something about the nighttime makes it scarier. And sometimes it seems like we're more active, I guess, because the world around them is so much more quieter and calm. You see it and hear it and feel it more.
Right. And I guess I get it too in terms of for doing videos that it's more obviously anything is going to be scarier, more entertaining if it's done in the dark. So for people that are watching to get more scared and more in the feeling of the moment, then it would need to be dark as well. Although I have seen a few, I think I saw Leslie do a couple daytime ones as well, and they were still good.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with daytime ones, but most people prefer to watch the nighttime ones.
Yeah, it seems like a mainstay, like on television, everything. They're always done at night. Or even if they're not done at night, they're given the portrayal that they're done at night by going into a little night vision thing. Because that can easily be faked as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know about that because when I did my short horror film on the channel, I made it look like it was night vision on the camera, but it was actually lights on everywhere because I couldn't see. So if I wouldn't have done that, I would have tripped and fell down the stairs and it would have ended badly.
Yeah, that would have.
Oh, man. Have you ever had something weird? I've always wondered is I used to think whenever I was a teenager, another thing was that we had our neighbor who had like a little just a little miniature kind of grave plot in their backyard of a dog. Now, I obviously back then I would go around telling people whenever there was like footprints in the snow that it was the ghost of that dog. Obviously, that could have been any animal in the neighborhood that we lived in, but I just like to say that to freak out my friends. But have you ever had any experiences or evidence of like an animal type spirit, or has it always been human or something like that?
It's always been human for us so far.
Because I've actually never heard of anybody having an animal. It's usually, I mean, I've heard mimicked animals like the growls and stuff like that associated with demonic stuff. But I've never heard of an actual animal haunting. So it always intrigued me.
Yeah, I've heard of people having some. Usually lost pets or something.
Yeah. And I always wonder if that's not just like wishful thinking on some.
Yeah, a lot of it could be.
Because that's the thing when it comes to the darker side of things, is that demons can mimic anything.
Yeah.
And so if they know that you're trying to search out like your pet or something like that, they can easily mimic that and use that to attach to you, which is another reason why I'll never do an investigation, because they can use anything against you.
Yeah,
even
take precautions.
Yeah, even with my Christian beliefs, I'm still like, I'm not messing with it. I'll watch it on TV and let the professionals like you and Leslie and everyone else on YouTube and other places handle it.
Yeah. Well, it's not for everybody, that's for sure.
Yeah. Have you ever had something happen that was, say, now this is gonna be weird, but say something funny that has happened on an investigation? Like not necessarily scary, but something like just funny that happened.
Actually, yeah, just recently we went down to the haunted trail, and across the Necrophonics app, it asked for pizza and said they were having a party.
That's crazy.
Laugh. I said, I want to go to a party. How do spirits party?
I know. And what does the spirit pizza taste like? I want to know now.
I guess next time we better bring pizza with us, huh?
Yeah. Or do they have pizza on their side? Like, what is their preference? Do they want pepperoni, sausage?
Right.
If you ever go back to that location, you should ask, be like, what is your preference of pizza? We need to know. The people at home must know.
Yeah.
These are important questions the spirits must answer.
Yeah. And if you want us to bring it, we need to know what kind to bring.
Yeah, we need to know what kind to bring. And we also want to know if you got to use the bathroom in the afterlife as well. Because if you get bad pizza, you might be having some ghost dumps later on going on. I don't know why that came to my attention, but I just know when you... I swear that is not the virus. I just have a tickle in my throat because it's so dry. I've been coughing nonstop like the past, I think it's been off and on. It's mainly allergies.
Yeah.
Is what I chalk it up to, is just, and then my mouth gets very dry when I'm talking and it drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it every time I try and record a video and I start coughing. I'm like, everybody's going to think I have the stupid virus. I don't. It's like, I swear I don't. I went to the doctor immediately when I thought I did have it, and they were like, no, it's not that. And they put me on some antibiotics for like, I think a week. I had to miss work for a week. Yeah. Hey, Leslie. Leslie just joined us in the chat.
Sorry I didn't answer you. I was here.
Well, she'll realize it now. I said she would eventually see that I was live with you, and then she'd be like, oh, that's probably why.
Yeah.
I need to take a drink before I start choking again.
I got a fly buzzing around my head.
Oh, geez. Imagine if that was another spiritual occurrence, would be like a plague of spirit flies.
Oh.
I'm telling you, my mind thinks of the strangest things sometimes, but it's like spirits are bad enough. Imagine if they were just annoying insects that were buzzing around constantly.
Oh, no. We don't need that.
Because you're like, flies are bad enough when I hear them buzzing, but to just hear them buzzing and not be able to do anything about it would make it even worse.
Yeah, you can't swat at them.
Yeah, Leslie, I forgot to tell you I think I did tell you yesterday, but I forgot to remind you today that I was going live. I want to throw it out there again. I don't know who all's still in chat, but if you are watching, feel free to leave any questions if you have anything, and we'll be sure to get them in. So we talked about the scariest, then we talked about the funniest, and we talked about the not so scariest. What are some locations that you haven't been to yet that you would like to visit?
Everywhere. There is a lot of places I want to go. I want to go to the bigger places, but I really like my local, or not really local, but anywhere just kind of small, unknown so much, or even doing urban legend type places like Maggie's Bridge or Crybaby Bridge. I know I want to go over and do Goatman's Bridge over in Maryland, in Bowie.
Right.
I definitely want to do that. That's on the list after all this is over.
Have you ever considered, you mentioned like urban legends and stuff, have you ever actually considered going into some of that instead of just the spiritual?
Yeah, that's what we do a lot of. If you notice, we do a lot of urban legend places. At least we did for a while. That's
Okay.
when I start really looking at other possibilities. That's where I came in with the idea for Maggie's Bridge, that maybe something else is happening or something else that caused Maggie, who's supposed to haunt the bridge now. And,
Right.
that's where I really go into digging a lot more.
That's something I find cool too, because back when I watched a lot of shows on TV, I used to watch that Destination Truth with Josh Gates. And I like that he would do some of the haunted locations, but then he would also do the stuff that were like creatures and stuff from other countries, like Sasquatch and stuff like that. And I always thought it was cool that he mixed that stuff up.
Right.
And with you mentioning urban legends, that immediately made me think of stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
I was thinking of you like going on a ghost hunt and encountering a Sasquatch. I mean, you've already encountered a random freaky person in the woods. Next step up from that would be a Sasquatch.
Yeah, anything's possible.
We do have a question in the chat from Muse that says, have you ever felt like a spirit had attached itself and in a sense followed you home?
Yes. Once. From Sachs Bridge. That was scary. That was a really scary night and a really scary couple of days. I was like sick for like 2 days after.
Oh,
I mean, we were staying up at Eric's mom's house. I mean, we had our trailer up there and we were supposed to go home the next day and I was too sick to go. Actually, the next day we were supposed to go out and investigate again that night, but I was too sick to go. And then we were supposed to go home the following day. And I couldn't do it. I didn't feel
crazy.
good.
Hey, Monster Mash Ken, how's it going, buddy? Muse and Monster Mash Ken are from the Where the Scary Things Are horror podcast.
Oh, okay. Hi.
They've been on my show in the past as well. Muse always comes by, but this might be the first live stream of mine that Ken stopped by, but this is only like my third live stream, so it's nothing to say. At least my third live stream like this, because I've done the gaming live streams, but
right.
Ken, do you have any paranormal questions now that you're in the chat? So was the Sachs Bridge, was that the one where you got scratched on the neck too? That was the one where you got the attachment. It seems like attachments, whenever I mean, obviously I can't say like from experience because I don't mess with this stuff, but it seems like a lot of people get scratched or something like that before an attachment or event like that happens. It seems like it always tells you ahead of time, like the scratch is almost a...
That was my very first experience with that, and I'm scared. I never thought it would happen at Sachs Bridge of all places. I always thought, I don't know, back in the back of my brain, I always thought that area was more residual hauntings going on a lot.
Right.
And I thought that's what happened. It repeated the hangings and stuff, but obviously not.
Yeah, that thing was like, you think we're residual? Hey, let me just tell you all about the residual right now. Not residual anymore, am I?
Yeah.
Needless to say, I'm glad you're okay now and it's not still messing with you.
I owe a lot to Evil. She helped me through that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she helped me through that.
Leslie wants to know, did Maggie ever come for her baby?
Not yet. So I've been there 3 times and told her I have her. I'm going to go back and I got an idea. I'm going to kind of maybe trigger some stuff, but
makes me wonder about the video. That is the one where they say if you leave the keys on the hood of your car or whatever, your car will still start, right? Or is that a different legend, but it's basically the same thing?
Yeah.
Because I think that was the one that I saw where they did that. Like they were like young, like college kids, and the car started itself up and everything.
Yes. Yes, Leslie, that's what I plan on doing.
All right, Ken, have a great night. Thanks for joining for like the couple minutes that you were able to stop by. I still appreciate it.
Good night, Ken.
Leslie says, bring a baby doll to the investigation.
Yep. I have that and a couple other possible trigger items related to like the patty cannon thing, the slaves and all. So I want to see what I can get. I'm going to try that. So
now, how far back does the history of that location date back? Like, with slaves, is it like Civil War era? Like, could you bring
before Civil War?
So you couldn't. I was thinking
Civil War.
Yeah, I was thinking you could bring a Civil War related item and possibly trigger something. But if it was before that, that probably wouldn't matter.
No, it wouldn't matter. So I was thinking, I don't know, a chain or noose or a rope or something that represents slavery.
Yeah, you might want to be careful with the noose though, because that may bring some more violence. That you might
maybe not so much a noose, but maybe a rope.
Yeah, I'm thinking the noose might trigger some anger. I'm like,
Yeah.
you want some interaction, but you might not want that kind of
Oh,
anger.
hey, the second time we went after I did all that research, something there was calling me names. So
Leslie says, or not Leslie, Evil Witch says, what is it with you two and dolls, Holly and Leslie? I'm throwing Rebecca's. I'm calling you Rebecca Ceratops on the stream, but I'm throwing my wife into that too because she's been collecting dolls lately, and she's always like, "Is this cute?" And I'm just like, "No, it creeps me out. Dolls creep me out. I can't help it." I know it's not even. It doesn't have to be a haunted doll. It just has to have big, beady eyes that I feel like are staring into my soul, and it's enough to make me just be put on edge.
Oh.
And it seems to be one of the ones that she got has like huge eyes. They're like huge soulless eyes, and I'm like, this thing is creepy. You got to move this at least to where it's not facing me when I'm trying to go to sleep at night. What'd you say? She just said you can change the color of the eyes as well. So I guess the eyes on that one could change out. So it's cool, but I'm just not. That's not my thing. I can collect action figures all day, which I guess some people would consider dolls, but it's not the same thing to me.
Well, at least you know she can change the baby doll's eyes now. So if you go in and you see them a different color, you know what's happening.
Yeah, that would have been weird if she wouldn't have told me that. And they say they went from like brown to like black or something. Or like just a completely opposite color. I'd have been like, oh, something's not right here.
Yeah.
I think she did close them the one time, and I was like, okay, open them back up because they're even creepier when they're closed. It looks like it should be in a coffin somewhere. Oh yeah. So I haven't. Leslie, you're going to want to watch. Actually, Leslie, I never told the story to either. The one I told you in the beginning about the stuff I experienced as a child. I don't think I ever told Leslie that. So she's going to want to rewatch this later.
Yeah.
Getting back to that, was that your only experience as a child? Was that one with the top hat, or did you start experiencing more after that event?
No, not really. I had a little experience when I was a teenager after my grandmother died. I saw her one time in my bedroom at the foot of my bed. But the weird thing is my best friend was staying the night and she saw it too. And then I really didn't, until I had my kids, there weren't any real experiences. But then my youngest girls, my oldest young of the girls would stare at the corner of our house by the side door and at dinner time, because that's where our table was, and just talk. And
oh yeah.
And then, then my mother-in-law gave us a picture of Eric's parents, and I didn't have a picture of them before. And I put it in frame and put it up on the mantle. And then one day, my oldest Sierra, she went up to the mantle. She was only about 3 years old, 4 years old. That's who I talked to and pointed right to them. And they had been dead since Eric was 13.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy thing to see. It's weird, like when they're just talking, because you can just chalk that up to like an imaginary friend or something like that. But then when you get a picture and somebody points at it and it's like, that's who I've been talking to, then you're like, oh, maybe this isn't so imaginary after all.
Yep. But yeah, and her and the youngest one has too. So it's kind of comforting in a way.
Right. I just want to know more about the top hat, why it was wearing the top hat.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm really curious about that at this point.
I should.
Leslie said she's fascinated by haunted dolls, and the Evil Witch says she's fascinated with haunted objects, except dolls. So me and Evil are in agreement on that. We are not fascinated with dolls at all in any aspect. I collect masks all day, but I wouldn't mess with a doll, that's for sure.
I really don't have. I can't say I don't have a haunted object. I'm not sure if I have a haunted object or a haunted doll. I've never investigated her. So,
hang on one second. My wife is actually asking a question.
Okay.
She wanted to know if you had an idea of the dream that I talked about at the beginning from the teenager with the friend that committed suicide. If you had a thought of what you, from your perspective, would think that would be. That was actually a good question. Because you're actually on the paranormal investigation field. So I think that's why she was like, you should get their opinion on what they think it would be.
I don't really know. I mean, it could have been.
I know what I thought it was, but like I said, it eventually went away. I think it was demonic because of the the sleep paralysis I had going on and stuff like that.
I wouldn't chalk all sleep paralysis up to demonic, honestly.
Right.
I mean, I guess it depends on your experience with it. I mean, you said you were having nightmares too, so.
Yeah, it felt very dark in the moment, but that could have just been because I was scared.
Yeah, it could have.
But I mean, there was other stuff involved in my life at the time that probably wasn't the best for a teenager to be messing with. So that might have
yeah.
And I know at a very early age, which is a very seldom memory because I don't have very many memories from my childhood at all, which I chalk up to just a bad childhood. But there is one memory I remember from being at a party or something and seeing the grown-ups mess with the Ouija board and then me and the kids mess with the Ouija board, not knowing what we were doing. So I always wondered if maybe that kind of led into things as I got older until it eventually went away. Because I know I had an experience when I was a kid the one time where I had nightmares like that as well. And I woke up screaming the one night thinking something was biting me.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom just said it was like, I think I had a Tasmanian devil, like the cartoon Tasmanian devil puppet or something in the bed. And for some reason, it was probably that pinching my arm. But as a kid, I definitely did not think it was that thing. And I think I stopped sleeping with that thing after that moment.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
I was like, just in the off chance that it's not just pinching my arm and this thing is like coming to life, biting me as a kid, I'm not taking any more chances.
I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing.
Leslie says she's going to buy you a haunted doll and she's also trying to steal Annabelle.
Oh, I love Annabelle, but she's got to stay in her case. Sorry.
Yeah, Evil Witch just said I might take Annabelle because Raggedy Ann dolls are okay. My mom actually liked Raggedy Ann dolls when I was a kid. I think she has an ornament still to this day. Like one of the eyes is like faded and missing and everything. It's another really creepy looking doll, but she still has it somewhere.
I used to have a Raggedy Ann doll when I was little, but I don't have it anymore. It didn't last long. My doll.
I think her mom. Yeah, I think my grandmother probably hung on to it. And I think she eventually turned it into an ornament for the Christmas tree because I used to gather and put ornaments up. And my grandmother would always have us come over to her house and put our ornaments up from whatever one she made for us. I think mine was probably like a handprint or something from when I was a baby. I don't know. It was something weird. As the older I got, the more I drift away from my family and I don't talk to them much anymore. So now this is my family. My wife and the people that I hang out with online.
Yeah.
Evil, do you have any questions? Evil's been the most active in the chat, so I want to make her ask a question. I think she noticed. Yeah, so you did dye your hair because I did notice that originally when I saw you on the channel, your hair was blonde.
Oh, it was brown when we first started, and then I started going blonde. Of course, that was a slow process. So
right, it was funny because my wife just recently dyed her hair to brown as well. And that was like one of the first things that she noticed was like, hey, she dyed her hair almost the same color as mine.
It's actually red. You can't really see in this light, but it's like a red.
Even wants to know where her blue wrench is.
I think that's you.
I have no idea. That's not me. I don't know anything about a blue wrench. What are you talking about, Evil? You're confusing both of us now. I mean, I told her to ask a question, so I guess that was her question.
Mod. She's talking mod.
Oh, I'll get that after the I can't handle it through StreamYard, so I'll take care of it after. Yeah. There you go, Evil. I'll take care of it after.
Chucky inspired hair.
Yeah, Chucky inspired red hair. But she says she loves it at the end, so there's that.
It's taken some getting used to and ended up the first one I didn't hold.
Right.
So I just recently redid it and it was like red. I was like, oh my God. Your messages are coming through, Leslie.
All right, so we've covered a lot of things. We covered areas that you have, like, you wanted to go to. Are there areas that you've been to that you've returned to multiple times that you could just feel like you could always return to and there'll always be something that happens?
The Pocomoke Forest and the cemetery there. Seems like every time we go, something.
Okay,
even if there's a crazy person in the woods.
Evil, you answered the question already about something following you home, but she wants to know: do you feel like you are more of a ghost magnet now? So I'll let you
No,
answer that one.
no, I don't.
That's probably a good thing. I think paranormal investigator or not, you probably don't want to be. Maybe on location, you don't mind if they drop because that's how you get more evidence. But I don't think you want them just following you all the time.
No, we have enough here. We don't need any more.
So speaking of local areas, when you were talking about more local areas, are there like local things in your hometown? Like, are there people's houses that they think might be haunted or anything like that you would explore?
I honestly don't know about people where they're still living. Now
Right.
there are several abandoned places that we're trying to get information on. There's actually one practically in our backyard that we've already been to a couple times that we just went back to last night. So we got
Nice.
more information, a little bit more information on that. But as a private residence right now, I haven't really.
I know there's one place in actual Pennsylvania which I'll probably never go to, but they call it the real life Silent Hill. And one of my favorite like horror video games of all time is Silent Hill. And then of course they have the movies and stuff. Now I think those were actually based off the Silent Hill that was in Japan. But apparently there is also one in Pennsylvania that is, I don't know if it's called Silent Hill, but it's called like the real life Silent Hill. And I've seen a few pictures of like where the steam still comes up from the road and stuff like that on the way in there.
We went there once.
Did you actually go there?
Yeah, this past October we went. That was kind of cool. Different.
Yeah, I got to find out more about that because that always interested me whenever I saw pictures. I wondered what people's experiences were because I don't know. Like, obviously, in the story, people still live there now. In real life, they probably don't. That would be really bizarre. I mean, there could be someone living there. I don't know.
There's like 5 residents still
that still live there.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part to me.
I know just within the last couple of weeks, I heard they're closing down Graffiti Highway because people are going there and just going crazy on 4-wheelers, not paying attention to people walking. A group of like 200 people started a big old bonfire in one of the crevices where the steam was coming up at one time.
Right.
In the middle, so they're closing it down.
Yeah. I guess they got no choice with that when people were acting crazy and stupid.
Yeah, and people are trying to break into the resident's house thinking, no, they don't live here. Well,
yeah, they do live there. If we lived in the old-timey rules, that's a good way to get shot in the face. You try breaking into somebody's house. And who knows, with only 5 residents living in the real-life Silent Hill, you may take a shotgun to the face. They may be still living under those old rule sets. Yeah. Evil wants to know, what is your favorite ghost hunting tool or technique that you prefer?
Well, so far, I'm still learning different things. I really like the Spirit Box and the Necrophonics app. I like them both.
Necrophonics, now that's something new because I'd never seen that before. Some of yours and Clown and Leslie and other people on YouTube. In terms of like the big shows like Ghost Avengers. What am I talking about? Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, and shows like that. I've never seen them use something like that. So is there an idea of when the Necrophonic was created?
I honestly don't know. I just seen everybody using it, and I heard a lot of good reviews about it, and I was like, we'll give it a try. And I like that you could hear the words a little bit better, mostly.
Right. Yeah, it seems like very clear from what I've heard of people getting evidence from it. I was just curious because I was like, this thing kind of like seemingly came out of nowhere, and I'm just like, who created this thing?
Yeah.
Like maybe that weird man in the middle of the forest created it.
Maybe.
I mean, you never know. Anybody could have created it at this point, unless the person that created it decides that they want to do an interview and talk about creating it. If you're out there somewhere and you're watching, I have thoughts on it. We could talk all about it.
Yeah.
But it does seem like that one over like a Spirit Box. Like a Spirit Box, you get a lot of the staticky kind of stuff. And sometimes that seems like that could be hard to interpret because it could be like a radio signal or something coming in. But it seems like the Necrophonic is different because I don't hear that static whenever I hear people using that. I do hear like echoes, which to me makes the evidence creepier when I hear that echo because it sounds like someone's like distant yet that are in the same room as you. So it makes it sound creepier.
Yeah. Well, you do get a lot of repeat responses on the Necrophonic. So you got to kind of listen and sort through it sometimes.
Right.
I mean, I go to every place I go, there's certain words that I always get. So I think that's kind of,
Yeah, that makes you wonder. That could be a flaw, like a flaw within the technology itself, possibly,
right,
or a kink that
right.
could get worked out over time. If it's an app, then they're probably constantly trying to update it and fix stuff like that.
Well, yeah. Well, we've gotten to the point that we're using it on a phone that no longer has service, doesn't have anything connected to it anymore. So, thought maybe
That could
that
actually
was
be smart.
But
Yeah,
I
that could
don't.
actually be smart because you won't have other stuff interfering with what you're trying to use because there's no connection, no Wi-Fi, no internet, or anything like that running on your phone.
As long as I remember to charge that phone. Sometimes I forget to charge it and I have my phone.
I mean, we just discussed this earlier that my phone was like 2% before this interview, so I couldn't like look in to be promoting while we're doing. Now, technically, I could bring up another tab and do it, but then I wouldn't be able to see you when I'm trying to talk to you, and then I get confused doing that sometimes. So it kind of bounces all over the place.
Yeah.
Another location I used to always be interested in was the I can't remember. It might actually be in Japan, but like that suicide forest.
Suicide forest, yeah. That looks pretty cool.
I was always wondering, would you ever, if you were able to, would you travel outside? Well, obviously not right now with everything that's going on, but had this kind of crap not been going on, would you have been willing to travel outside the U.S. to do investigations in other countries?
Oh, yeah. I would love to travel one day. I think that would be awesome.
It seems like London has a lot of haunted places as well that people like to go to. It always seems like other countries have a lot of haunted locations.
The U.S. has a lot too, if you think about it. If you look,
yeah. I feel like the U.S. has a lot of Bigfoot sightings. The U.S. seems to it does have spiritual stuff too because we have like
we have a lot of
what the heck is that mental asylum here? Penhurst.
We got Penhurst. We got Waverly Hills, and there's a lot really.
I think one time I asked the question to one of the Ghost Adventures on what was their favorite location in Pennsylvania, and I think they said Painhurst. Painhurst. Oh my goodness, I'm really butchering my words. This has become a regular thing for me lately. Be it YouTube videos or podcasts, I'm always messing up at least one word.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I'll be investigating and stumbling over my words. I'm like, oops, sorry.
Another thing I always wondered is this to go back into what we were talking about earlier with ghosts craving pizza. I've always wondered if ghosts can fart as well, because I know that there are phantom smells out there that smell like perfume, but I always wondered what would happen if you just smelled that one thing that you're like, oh, that ain't perfume I'm smelling. What is it? You're like, these spirits they're eating a little too many tacos or something over there. I don't know what's going on.
Too much pizza and beer or something.
Too many baked beans.
There you go.
I don't know why I said tacos. I was like, I've eaten plenty of tacos before. I don't remember getting gassy from them, but beans seem to be the go-to source for everybody. Have you ever had an experience like that with a phantom smell?
Yes.
Was it a good one or a bad one? Because your reaction, I couldn't really tell.
It was not a very good one. It was on the haunted trail. We were in the middle of our necrophonics app or spirit box, and it kept saying demon, and then we started getting this sulfur smell.
Yeah, I always hear that too.
And that's when we was like, all right, we're done. We're gonna go now. I don't want to mess with demons.
That's where you're like, not only do I not want to mess with a demon, but I don't want to mess with a demon that doesn't know how to use deodorant and he constantly smells like a bad fart. Because they're always associated with that sulfur smell.
Yeah.
You're like, if it's not what I think it is it just a spirit with really bad BO that's wandering around? Hasn't taken a shower in like 100 years. So you're just getting the butt end of everything. The butt end literally is what you're smelling. I don't know where my mind's going tonight, but it's all over the place. Okay, so we've covered. Oh my goodness, I feel like I've covered almost everything, and we still have like 15 minutes left before I end the podcast. Because we've covered a lot of stuff on here, so I'm trying to think of what are some paranormal tools that maybe you would like to use that you've never gotten a chance to use?
I want what is it called? CJ uses it. That thing that plays music. the
I have no
PMB
a music box. I don't.
Yeah, the PMB box. It's a motion detector, but it plays like a music box sound.
That's
I
interesting.
think those are really cool.
That's interesting. Do you find yourself using trigger objects
No, I've
on
never used a
investigations?
trigger object yet.
That would probably be something that if I was doing it, that I would look into.
Yeah.
Because I always find those really cool. And you said you went. Did you say you investigated Gettysburg?
A couple places. Yeah.
Gettysburg?
Yeah, we went to Round Top, Devil's Den, and Sachs Bridge, and then they call it Suicide Bridge, which is right down from Sachs Bridge.
Okay, so that was probably just more dark on top of dark.
Yeah, that was a pretty creepy.
They're that close, and then it's also in relation to.
It made me. I felt like I wanted to cry when we were at that bridge.
The suicide one.
Really sad feeling.
Yeah, that could also be the emotion of knowing, like, it's called Suicide Bridge, so that's probably going to bring a lot of emotion out of, in general.
Yeah.
Is that why it's known as that? Like, a lot of people actually committed suicide there?
That's what they say. I don't know. I didn't do any research. I heard about it. I was like, well, we're here. Let's just go.
Right. That could be another one that's just like urban legend where you don't really know until you fully research.
Yeah. When we do,
I just got creeped out watching you because I saw a shadow on the fridge behind you, which was probably a car passing by or something. But I saw it, and I don't know if you noticed, my eyes were like, they got like really big for a minute.
Oh,
that's me. I'm doing a paranormal investigation, and now I'm going to start seeing things on every video I watch. I just noticed that Leslie was teasing me a little bit for when I mispronounced Penhurst, and she said Painthurst.
Penhurst.
And Evil said it's just creepy when you smell that sulfur smell. I would agree with that. I just had to make light of the situation by cracking the body odor joke. That's what I do. I have the tendency to. Exactly. So you were 10 when you had your first experience, and you're still going around and investigating a lot of places. You said one of the best ones is cemeteries. Do you get a lot of events happening in cemeteries? Because I would always think that a cemetery would almost be like the least likely place for stuff to happen. Like, I would feel like stuff in cemeteries just wants to be left alone. It wouldn't really come out much.
It depends on the cemetery, really.
Right.
Some cemeteries, it's just like, they'll talk to you, someone, the spirit box or the app, but not a whole lot usually happens. Like I said, it depends on the cemetery. Now, the one down the Pocomoke Forest, there's some weird crap going on down there.
Yeah. I remember one year we were up at, what's that place we would go to? Greenwood Furnace. And we were doing something, I don't know. We were just hanging out by like the water, and we heard like little kids laughing, like somewhere around behind us. And we looked around, and there was no kids, no people, nobody around. But like right behind us, after we did some exploring, was a very, very old like children's cemetery. It was like right behind us. So that always kind of creeped me out. And that's like we're not looking for that. That's just like you hear something and you're like, what the heck was that? And you look around, and usually there are like families or kids or something like down at the beach or something like that, which I think we eventually told ourselves that it was that just so we wouldn't be creeped out. But it was weird to turn around and see a lot of these, and a lot of them were like really young, like 7, 8, and younger.
Oh, wow. That's pretty creepy.
Waterboat, I am not sure what Twitch viewer is. I mean, I guess you could support, but I don't know what that is. I'm happy to have the support either way. Most of our chat comes through on YouTube. I'm not used to the Twitch coming through. I haven't been on Twitch in a long time. I did Twitch before I ever decided to join YouTube, and I did a lot of gaming streams on Twitch, and then I kind of just abandoned Twitch. But then once I discovered StreamYards, I was like, hey, I can stream to both of these at the same time, so I'll just keep going with it.
Hey, if it works.
Well, I don't want to cut us too short, but I did the same thing last night when I started running out of stuff. And I hate doing that. But I think we've covered a lot of good stuff on tonight's episode of the podcast. So if you have any kind of shout outs or anything like that you would like to do, obviously your channel is called Hawley's Lore, so everybody should go and subscribe to that.
Thank you.
Or if there's anything specific that I didn't bring up that you would like to talk about before we get off, you can do that. Because I brought up a lot of stuff, but there might have been something you wanted mentioned that I don't know about.
You covered a lot. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. Like the only other interview I've ever done was with Leslie on her live stream where we kind of interviewed each other and we had the same question with pretty much. So this is all new to me.
Yeah, with me, I like to carry it a little bit differently and just kind of shoot the breeze. Like less of an interview and more of like a hangout, which actually is a lot easier when Twisted Joker is with me because then we can bring in more stuff. And obviously, if he wasn't working and he would be here because he was going to be here last weekend and I screwed that up because I realized it was Easter and then decided to reschedule and then he couldn't join us. But
when I said last weekend, I was like, it's Easter.
Yeah, I literally didn't realize it was Easter until Easter. My grandfather started cooking, and that was when I realized, oh crap, today's Easter.
Yeah, I this year is just getting away with us with being locked down and all.
Yeah, that's it's easy to lose track with that.
Yeah.
I still go to work because we're considered essential because I guess we're like a supplier of companies or something like that. To me, I don't feel like I personally am essential, but we still go to work. But masks are mandatory at our work now, so we have to wear them. Yeah. Actually, in Pennsylvania, masks are mandatory if you leave your house and go to any store now at this point, I think.
It is in Maryland now, too. That started
they just started
officially.
I think they said as of 8 p.m. like last week it happened, but I've been to Walmart a couple times and haven't seen like more than half the people have not worn masks. Right. So eventually it's going to be to where I think that Walmart even has a constable out there.
Yeah, they're not letting people if you have a mask here.
Yeah, they had a constable out there for a while, but I didn't know why he was there. But I assume now it's going to be to like enforce that rule.
Yeah, I know before it officially went into effect, Eric was on his way home from work and he has a 2-hour drive home from work. So he had to stop to use the bathroom and they wouldn't let him in the convenience store to go to the bathroom without a mask.
That's crazy.
It was that Thursday and it wasn't officially in effect until yesterday. So.
Yeah, now it's fully in effect.
Yeah.
But actually, this background behind me, which I think I mentioned to you before I started the podcast, this is actually from a game that I played, which was actually a paranormal game. It's called Fatal Frame. It was back on like the PlayStation 2, I believe. And what the game was pretty cool because it was Japanese horror, which always is scary. They're very good at what they do when it comes to horror and paranormal stuff. But essentially, you were like exploring a haunted house, and you had to utilize a camera in order to take out the ghosts. You had to like take their pictures, which would do damage. So it was like spirit photography, which gave me a perfect idea for a final question on if you've ever explored anything in the spirit photography kind of vein of things.
Not really. I mean,
yeah, I had to think off something on the whim because I wanted at least one last question to kill the full hour. And I was like, this background behind me could lead to a really good question about spirit photography.
Yeah, I mean, pictures on investigations, but that's about all I do. I mean,
yeah, I think that thing in the story essentially, I guess the camera that was taking the pictures of the evil spirits or whatever they were, I guess would be essentially capturing the spirits. Yeah. So I don't know if there's real life stuff like that can actually capture spirits or not. I know there's been a few shows that have explored like a paranormal trap, like the Ghost Box or something like that. But I'm not sure if I've heard of anything with like cameras capturing spirits. But it was definitely an interesting story.
Yeah, it does make for an interesting story, but I've never heard anything like that. So, but
yeah,
but
I definitely wonder what it would be like if that was an actual possibility. How many people would try it?
Cool. That would be kind of cool.
It would be borderline because you want to have the right kind of person using it. You don't want to have a person that's just trying to, because like we were saying earlier, not every spirit is dark. So you don't want people just running around just trying to capture spirits so that they can have listen, this isn't Pokemon. This isn't got to catch every spirit. You're not just going to be throwing out throwing out spirit balls and capturing every spirit you can and then using them to fight in battles.
Right.
Listen, nobody out there steal that idea. I'm going to make that into a game someday. Never become a game developer. Just steal the entire idea of Pokemon and turn it into spirits instead and make it paranormal and scary.
There you go.
I think that is the perfect way to end the show. Holly, I want to thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully, I can have you on again sometime when Twisted Joker joins the show.
Sure. Okay.
So I'm going to let you go ahead and throw out some shout outs or anything like that you want to throw out, and we will end with that.
I haven't even thought about shout outs. Shout out to Leslie.
That's what I was going to say. Just like look at my chat and just shout out to people in the chat.
Oh, Leslie. Shout out to you, Tony, for having me. Thank you. Yeah. Clown? I don't know.
I think, you know what? Clown was going to show up on last weekend's stream, and I never told him I rescheduled it. That's probably why he's not. I think he's alive right now.
Yeah,
That might be why. Yeah. If he knew that I was streaming, he probably would have stopped by.
He's doing a marathon tonight.
Evil did just tell me something interesting before we go off, that when photography first came out, people wouldn't take pictures because they thought it trapped your soul. So that might be where Fatal Frame was based off of, like the trapping your soul. That might be like the folklore of that. They probably investigated in that some.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, Holly. Thank you, Evil, Leslie, Muse, Ken, whoever else popped in chote. Oh my goodness. Whoever else popped up in chat tonight for Everything But the Podcast Live. Thank you so much for joining. If you are new to the YouTube or you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever I go live or whenever I release a new video or live stream. And I will see you all in the next live stream or the next video. I don't know which one comes first, but I'll see you all next time. But until then, stay Rexy, everybody. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the weekend.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tony.
Bye-bye.
Bye.